Welcome to another rubbish FPL player video. This video I'm going to talk about the double game weeks that have been confirmed and also how my game week 34 went. Going to start on about the double game weeks, talk about my game week later, do this maybe what more people are interested in. So the double game week is being 100% confirmed now, so City and Palace will double in game week 36, and there will be no more blank game weeks unless something unforeseen happens. So City will play Brentford and Palace will play Everton and City. And just on the screen I'm going to put just the confirmation about the actual fixtures, but also some of the fixtures sort of before and after the double game week. And I think it's going to be a factor potentially on who you get into your team. So I'm sure most people are going to triple up on City and have at least one Palace player, maybe two. Triple up maybe a bit too much. So looking at City first, before the double game week, they've got Everton on the 4th of May, so that's 5 days before that Brentford game. And then after the Palace game, they've got the FA Cup on the 16th, and then 3 days after that, they've got another match. And obviously, at the moment, City have got to win every match to guarantee winning the league. If they drop any points and Arsenal keep winning, then Arsenal win the league. So it's going to be interesting how they play it. Obviously, if Arsenal lose their next game, then they may decide to rest some players. So looking at the fixtures, obviously it'll be typical FPL. Everyone triples up on City, and then against Palace, because it's just a few days before the FA Cup, Pep could end up resting some players completely, could be some early substitutions. So yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit of a gamble, and you're going to have to play the Pep roulette, take a gamble and make your own sort of guesses on who to pick. As for Palace, looking at their fixtures before and after the double game week, they've got Bournemouth in the game week before, and then it's the Europa Conference League. They've got just 4 days after that, and then 3 days after that is the game against Everton. Just 3 days in between Everton and City, and then they've got 4 days before Brentford. Now they've probably I think they've not really got anything really to play for, Palace. They're not going to get into Europe. They're not going to get relegated. I think it's not impossible that they don't get relegated at this very moment if everyone else below them keeps winning. They've got 43 points, so that's 9 points ahead of Spurs. It's a big assumption that Spurs win the rest of the games, as well as all the other teams sort of below Palace, so Newcastle, Leeds, Forest, West Ham. But it's not an impossibility. So, but by the time they get round to sort of Brentford, it could all be over. Spurs could be 100% confirmed relegated, or someone else. But I think it's very unlikely Palace would get relegated now, but not impossible. So I reckon, and it's going to be tricky who to pick for if you want a Palace player. I think looking at the players and looking how many minutes they've played recently, in recent sort of ish weeks, over the last sort of 10 game weeks, I think defensively, I think you could be pretty much assured who's going to be playing. I think so, whether you go for Munoz or Require or Henderson, I think is your best bet. As for getting an attacker in, that's going to be a tricky one. I think who you end up picking who's going to be your best chance. Looking at the stats here, yeah, the defence you can see, yeah, the Richards always plays, Henderson obviously always plays, Munoz pretty much always plays. I think he had an injury, I think, a few weeks ago, didn't he? But he's always going to play. So yeah, but then looking at their attacking players, everyone in the last sort of 4 weeks has had reduced minutes. So yeah, Sarr, for example, played 90 minutes the last game, but then the 2 weeks before that, he barely played half an hour in each. So I'm looking at that. The Johnson, I think he's last game he didn't even make it to 60 minutes. But so yeah, who would you pick out of this lot? I think it's going to be a gamble who you pick. I think looking at that, I think maybe Mateta. He played 70 minutes of the last game. He didn't get as many minutes sort of after coming back from the injury, I think it was. Was it injury? Yeah. So building up the number of minutes. So I would expect, but then would you want a Palace attacker? You're going to get Haaland in. Who else are you going to get in? Yeah, so I think I've already got Munoz personally. Who else I would get in? Because on the double game week, I am probably going to be playing my bench boost, which is my last chip. Who I think I'll get another Palace defender. It may even be Henderson or if I don't. It's probably looking at it's take your pick. Who's got the best points per start. And the defensive contributions. So yeah, it's all on the screen there. So yeah, see what. Yeah, you make your own pick there. Right. Okay. So my plans for this coming game week 35. There is a chance I could roll the transfer, and then because I've only got 1 free transfers, and then I don't want to take some hits. Ideally, I'm doing better recently. We'll go on to my team in a bit. But then looking at the sort of the projected points and all that sort of stuff, City are well clear at the top. I think this game week, their projected goals 2.1 goals, which is the top. Leeds is right up there as well because they're playing Burnley. For the clean sheet, they're the third on the list after Arsenal and Leeds. At the moment, I've only got Semenyo, which is sort of the wrong midfielder. I really want Cherky in, who I did have on my free hit. So I need to think about how I play this. In a perfect world, I'd have Haaland, Cherky, and O'Reilly right now. I'd have Cherky now as my midfielder, and then I'd get in Haaland and O'Reilly. So it's going to take some moving about how I do that. As for any other teams apart from City and Palace, Arsenal are second on the projected goals. A big factor on that is that game against Burnley in game week 37. They've got West Ham in game week 36. Obviously West Ham, they're near the bottom of the table for a reason, but they're fighting for survival. So London derby and stuff like that. So who knows what's going to happen there. And also Arsenal playing tonight. As I film this, it's about 10-15 minutes before they kick off. Obviously, it's just the first leg tonight, but if they lose like 7-0, which if it's as many games as last night with PSG and Bayern, I think it'll be tighter. You never know. But if they lose like 7-0, then Arteta might be like, right, okay, it's over now. And no need to sort of rest players and all that sort of stuff. But who to get from Arsenal if you want an attacking player? It's a tricky one because you don't know who's going to start. Even like Gyökeres, who's not started as much recently. Can you trust Havertz starting? Odegaard, I don't think he's the most exciting sort of attacking option. Declan Rice, not really. Obviously he's going to start 100%, but apart from that amazing game like about 10 game weeks ago, it's not really done too much. And then so Saka maybe. Saka isn't starting tonight. He's on the bench, so we'll see what if he comes on. I don't know what is the ideal thing if he comes, because he's only played 9 minutes against Newcastle. But if he plays maybe 30 odd minutes tonight, looks good, then maybe Arteta's going to start him in the game week 35, but maybe not. So we're gonna have to see what happens tonight, how Arsenal play, if Saka even comes on. If he doesn't come on at all, then no chance bringing him in this week, and maybe not even 36. But then it's that game in 37 against Burnley, who, I think a lot of people will want an Arsenal attacker in. At the moment, I've only got Gabriel. It's not like the start of the season where he seemed to be scoring every week from a corner or a set piece. That's not the same now. So I think I'd want at least a couple Arsenal players in that game versus Burnley. So some time to think about that. The deadline is on Friday evening, I think. So it's not about 24 hours from time of recording for me to think about what's happening. Let me just confirm. Yeah, Friday, deadline at 6:30. So, yeah, that's something to think about. But anyway, just going quickly onto my game week 34. 64 points. Safety score was 41, so that was good. It was a 440k green arrow. So I've had a good couple weeks. So because last week it was a 470k green arrow, and it was about 100k before that. So in 3 weeks it's gone up 1 million. Still 2.2 million ranked. So obviously far from where I want to be. I think I 12 points now from a top 2 million rank. I think the best I could hope for realistically is a 1-point-something million rank. I've mentioned before my worst ever rank was about 1.5 million. So hoping it'd be great if I beat my worst ever score, which would be very good going considering how my season's going, how it started, and how it ended up. How I was about like 8 million ranks 3-4 weeks into the season. Looking at the actual team just quickly, how it went. I captained Bruno like a lot of people, and I think looking at the stats, I think most people captained Bruno, and overall it was the most. Obviously would have been better captaining some other players who scored more, but there you go. The best, Anderson did great for me. He 11 points, and that him alone scoring got me, and getting bonus and all that, got me a 200k green arrow, him alone. Šeško scoring 145k rank increase himself, and then Bowen was good as well, and Munoz. So onwards and upwards. So yeah, if it's another 4 game weeks to go, if I get another million rank increase and get finished about 1.2 million. With how this season's gone, I'd be pretty pleased with that overall. To get into the top million would be tricky now. It would be, it's going to be looking at the on live FPL. It would be, to get into the top million now would be, so I'd need to sort of gain on all the teams 79 points, which is so about 20 per game week left. That's going to be tricky. If I had all my chips left, you never know. I've just got bench boost left. So, bench boost, you play your triple captain right, you had a good free hit. But, I can't complain too much at how it's gone the last few weeks. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Good luck with your game week 35 or you're planning for the doubles. And if you could like, comment, subscribe, that'd be great. Thanks. Bye.